If you're married, you need to take note twice. If you're a husband, you need to take note 3 times, so that you can be able to, bring back the sizzle, and navigate, in your marriage. The last thing I said on Sunday, is that emotions tells us that something is wrong with a relationship. However, on Sunday we were able to handle the 5 nature, of marriage. We said that marriage, is first of all a commitment. We said that it is there has to be unity, united. And then number 3, we said that it is it's intimate. No, I didn't give you that under intimate. I didn't do that. And then we said that it is purposeful, and then lastly we said that, marriage is supposed to be, what's the 5th one? It's supposed to be complementary. All right. Can we rehearse it? Number 1. What is number 1? All right. Number 2. All right. Now say with energy. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Intimate. Number 4. And then number 5. Complementary. All right. Whenever a relationship or marital relationship is not exuding this, then it is not in its nature, and it cannot function well. All right. One of the reasons why we have challenges in marriage is inability to handle our emotions. And I said it that one of the major problems of this present age is that we exalt emotion as a guiding light that determines our action. All right. And it is actually a misguided notion. You cannot act out what you feel. The fact that you feel it doesn't mean you should act it. All right. If not, you're going to, all right. While we are not suggesting that emotions are not important, because emotions allow us and tells us that something is wrong with the relationship. All right. However, emotions, when they begin to rise up, they must be led by reason and then guided by truth. And I gave out an equation. And we said that emotions moderated by reason, guided by truth, will give you constructive, action. All right. Now, the condition in which you get married in will not be the condition that you're going to stay married in. All right. The person that you're married to will change. All right. There are changes that also hit marriage. Some you don't have control over. Some you created them. How you handle these changes, will determine, how far and where you're going to go. All right. I will open today by saying that conflict in marriage is created because, couples fails to make each other happy, or couples make each other unhappy. All right. You might think that the statements are the same, but they are not. All right. All right. But something that I mentioned on Sunday that is worth mentioning, and I will mention it, and that is marriage is not simply a relationship. It's more. It's an intimate relationship, that encompasses about 5 aspects of your life. If you're not, so marriage is not something that stands on 3 legs. It's actually standing on all the 5 aspects of your life. All right. And I mentioned it, on Sunday. I said the first, is your intellectual, emotional, social, spiritual, and then physical. These 5 aspects, anyone that is deficient will have a ripple effect on marriage. It's going to impact on the marriage or in the relationship. All right. Most people, are concerned about the physical. However, the physical is actually one aspect, and if that also is not handled, all right, but there is the intellectual, all right. Later I'm going to show you that men generally, though there are some that they don't, but men generally are sapios. What I mean is that they are sapiosexual. A sapiosexual person is somebody that is attracted to intelligence. All right. And then once beauty, finesse and class adds on it, it takes it to another level. All right. So the intellectual aspect, of your life cannot be understated. You cannot just come into it and then you are not being able to understand each other. All right. Because the yoke must fit. All right. So if intellectually you're not growing together, then you're going to have a serious problem. Emotionally, socially also, you cannot just get married and then don't take care of yourself. You don't, of course, no social interaction, and then you just walk out, with sumokara on your body, you just like that. All right. The social aspect is also vital. However, the spiritual part is also, all right, because some of the things that will be hitting the marriage, of course, that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. All right, so there is an enemy that doesn't want, because marriage is purposeful. All right, in marriage, it is expected that your purpose should be able to show forth, and then children are supposed to grow up. So the enemy is actually going to fight. All right, okay. And so if the spiritual, aspect of your home is not very well rounded, then you might end up beating the air and finding serious. Okay, so these 5 aspects are vital. Now, ignorance can contribute to the failure in marriage. All right, most marriages that are destroyed is not that you are not compatible or you are not meant for each other. The major problem is basically ignorance. But ignorance of what? Where am I going to? All right. Now you have to understand that men and women can have great difficulty understanding and appreciating the values of each other's need. All right. So when I mention ignorance, apart from the knowledge, general knowledge, I'm actually going to be hitting on ignorance of the individual needs of the people that are in that marital relationship. Ignorance of the need of the man, and then ignorance of the need of the woman. All right. And then there are some people that are just hard-headed. You just don't want to learn. All right, okay, and you just want to just do it. What you know is all that you know, but there are more that you need to know. Come on, put your hands together if you understand what I'm talking about. What you know. I'm actually the heat is causing everything to react. I'm actually allergic to dumb people. I have serious, and worst of it is that it's not that there is absence of knowledge, but you just don't want to learn. Knowledge abounds everywhere, but you're just there. You just don't want to learn. All right. Now, when you are ignorant in appreciating the value of each other's need, no matter what you do, no matter the effort, you can maximize the marital relationship. But the challenge, this is the challenge. Men tends to meet the needs that they will value, and women do the same. So what is their own need? They want to push it on the man. What is the man's need that he wants? He wants to push it on the woman. Your needs are not his needs. All right, okay. You see, when a car stops running and, okay, it needs a petrol. When I'm thirsty, I need water. I can't take water and put it in the car. If you take water and put it in the car will malfunction. If you drink petrol, you will malfunction. Same thing. You can't take what feeds you and put it on her. And you can't take what feeds you and put it on him. They can function. However, the problem is that the needs of men and women are often very different. And most often we waste efforts and time trying to meet the wrong needs. And then you're complaining, what is it that I have not done? You're dumb. Get understanding. The Bible said that in all you're getting, get understanding. Wisdom is principle. All right. You have to learn. You have to get, okay. Now, let me tell you, the right needs of the man and the woman are so strong that whenever they are not met in marriage, people become tempted to go outside of marriage to satisfy them. All right. I'm going to be okay, now, some of the needs, and that's why you see all kinds of things, okay, business owners, CEOs, pastors of big churches coming down. All right, because if needs are not met, it's just like, whether it's the woman or the man, all right, and at best, if you are a believer, then you just become frustrated within that relationship. But marriage is intended for pleasure. All right, okay, so it is on you, if you're not married now, to begin to learn. If you're married, to come down on that your high horse. All right, and then begin to, all right, important emotional needs should be met. It is vital, all right, and it is important. Now, marriage, just as I said, it's a special relationship. The reason why it's special is because in it, promises are made to allow just the spouse the exclusive right to meet some of these important needs. There are other needs of the man or the woman that other involvement can meet them. But there are some certain needs that's what made marriage special. That they are exclusive needs that it is expected that the person within, all right, and successful marriage requires skills. Look at your neighbor and say that you need skills. It's echoing. Skills in caring for the one you promise to cherish throughout your life. Will you take this woman as your lovely wedded wife, forsaking all other? All right. You see, when you come here, we are not here for celebration. When you come here, you're coming here to enter into a relationship that is, there are, how many of you had friends, people you started secondary school, but you're normal, maybe you just pack and go? Yes, yeah. You can't do that in marriage. You see, I had friends that I'm not comfortable. Gone, boom, gone. Without blinking, I will go. You don't do that in marriage. You had problem and then you go. No, you don't go. You have to go back home. Am I talking here? All right, okay. I'm with you. I'm not that bonded. I just go. You know why? Because my classmates make away. But now, when you come into marriage, you can't just go. Look at your neighbor and say, you can't go. Okay, so if you can't go, then you must work it out. So skills must be learned. Come on, put your hands together if you understand. Skills must be learned because you're going to stay in this for next 50, 60 years. Baby, you got to gather skills because you need to be happy. You can't be frustrated for am I talking in the house of refuge? Come on, put your hands together if you understand what I'm talking about. I said, come on, put those hands together if you understand what I'm talking about. However, there are people that they just like, I don't care. Now, my assignment is to educate you in how to care, or how to understand and learn these skills. Once you have learned these lessons, what's going to happen is that your spouse is going to find you irresistible. And that's the aim. You have to come to a place where your husband cannot survive without you. And am I talking here? And then your wife is running in a cake. The devil is a liar. Come on, you cannot just like carry. Once you understand this, you become. It's actually a condition that is essential to a happy and successful marriage. Once you become irresistible, then that marriage is on. It's a condition for a successful marriage. Now, I actually don't care where you are. Those of you that are married, those of you that are not, you can build and rebuild, your marriage if you learn to, become aware of each other's needs and then learn to meet them. I can't overemphasize. I will say it again. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor. Say, neighbor, neighbor, neighbor. Marriage is a complex relationship. Now say it with energy, say neighbor. Marriage is a complex relationship. And some people, they just want to do it based on conjecture, based on what they see society do. They just want to do it. They do it based on the advice from their mother or their auntie or their friends. They gather and then they begin to, all right, you must take a look at what it really involves. When a man and a woman get married, one of the first things that they begin to do is that they begin to raise expectations. They have high expectations. And that's where problem comes. And it's not wrong, to have expectations. Okay, why? Because they commit themselves to meeting certain intense, and intimate needs in each other on an exclusive basis. All right, and so when they come together, each one of them agrees and promises to forsake all others. And each one of them agrees and promises, to give each other the exclusive right to meet their intimate need. That doesn't mean that all needs are supposed to be met, by the spouses. Because however, there are some certain things that, you can be able to get them on, on the outside. And you should be able to, all right. But basic needs must, of strict, condition reserved for the marriage bond. All right. So it is the expectation that I have is that I expect special needs to be met. All right. Why? You agree. When you stand here forsaking each other, giving yourself, okay, you agree not to allow anyone else to meet them. Because you see, anybody, the needs, your exclusive needs can be met by others. But when you come here, you're saying that I'm not going to allow any other to meet those needs. I'm going to be committed to meet your needs, and you're going to be committed to meet my needs. I mean, not all needs. I'm talking about the intense emotional needs. All right. Okay. And once that begins to happen, all right, then marriage begins to, okay. For example, whenever a man agrees to an exclusive relationship with his wife, he depends on her, to meet his sexual needs. Sexual needs for a man, later I'm going to show you, is not what he wants. For a man, sex is like oxygen. Though there are some men that are, there are few, there are not many. But generally, for men, whenever the woman fulfills this need, this is what actually happens to the man. He begins to find in her a continuing source of intense pleasure. And once that begins to happen, his love for her begins to grow stronger. If he doesn't find that in her, then problem begins to rise. Same thing goes to the woman. But when you're dealing with the man, if his needs goes unmet, then the opposite begins to happen. And what he begins to do is that he begins to associate her with frustration. Because some certain intense emotional needs can be crazily dangerous if they are not handled. And once a man tags you, or once the male man tags you and makes you, because you see, pain and pleasure determines whether I will come to you or I will run away from you. All right, so he begins to attach, with frustration. If that frustration continues, then if he is a believer, all right, okay. When you read, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill talks about sexual transmutation. But that's not I don't know. I don't think Napoleon Hill is a believer. But if he's a believer, he begins to rationalize. Maybe she just doesn't like sex, and he may try to make the best of it. But his strong need for sex doesn't go away. It remains unfulfilled, but it doesn't go away. You can't speak in tongues and then it goes away. There is self-control. That's why you need the Holy Spirit. All right, that's where the spiritual aspect of your life has to come in. Because sometimes when your flesh is going haywire, you need the Holy Spirit to sit on you. That's where one of the fruits of the Spirit is self-control. However, for the man, it leaves the man with two choices. Number one, sexual frustration. Number two, infidelity. It's either he sucks it up, he makes conclusion she's not just interested in sex, and then he becomes frustrated. And sexual frustration is, a survey was done, about 40,000 people. Men and women. All the men that were surveyed in that 40,000, all of them masturbate. Not all the women, just few. Because later you're going to see women, sex, it's not that they don't like it, but might not necessarily be a need. Because for them, sex have to be done under an environment. If the environment is not there, they can't. For them, sex is an event that takes place in an environment. The environment is one of their major needs, which is affection. And I'm going to take us there. All right. Marriage, however, has other potential trouble spots besides the man's basic need for sex. All right. I'm going to give you 5 basic needs for the man, 5 basic needs for the woman. I want you to take it as 10. Because even some of the one for the woman can sip it into the man. Same thing. The fight for the woman can also sip it into the woman. Is that okay? All right. But man, 5 most basic needs in marriage are: number 1, sexual fulfillment. Number 2, give it to me. Just give me all. Number 2, recreational companionship. I gave it to you, please. Number 3, all right, sexual fulfillment. Number 2, recreational companionship. Number 3, an attractive spouse. Men are visual. Number 4, domestic support. Number 5, admiration. In bracket, right, respect. For the woman 5 most basic needs in marriage is: number 1, affection. And what I'm going to do today is that I'm going to deal with what the woman cannot do without, which is affection. Give me for the woman. Number 2, conversation. Number 3, honesty and openness. Number 4, financial support. Number 5, family commitment. Okay, whenever the needs of the man and the woman are not met, then problem begins. Now look at it. When you look at these needs, you find out that they are not the same. So if the needs of the man and the woman are so different, that's the reason why you have difficulties in marriage. They're not the same. If a man thinks her needs are similar to his own, then that man is going to fail miserably. However, you have people in marriage that they don't even bother to learn about the needs. All right, okay, they just move in. When the woman also assume men appreciate the same gesture of kindness they like, they too fail miserably. And basically that's what we try to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know. Chances are you're not doing the right thing. So when you begin to learn and understand your spouses as a total different person than you, then you're going to begin to become an expert in meeting all of the person's emotional needs. When the needs are being met, you become irresistible. The man wants to come back home. The woman wants to come back. And then, of course, the children begins to rise up. Okay, marriage that fails to meet these needs are actually open to danger. You can be clapping and lose your house. You can speak in tongues and lose your home. You can take communion and lose your home. Because once a spouse lacks fulfillment, it was one man, in Abuja, some scandals. I already, pray for people, and the boy, what a babe, South Africa. The reason is because some of these needs are crazy. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, needs must be met. So once a spouse lacks fulfillment of any of the 5 needs, it begins to create a thirst that must be quenched. A thirst that must be quenched. It is expected that the thirst, and okay, how many of you had, become thirsty one time, and then you're given warm water? Does it quench the thirst? Okay. So same thing when it comes to the man's sexual needs, it's not sex, just the sex. Because you can say that about sex, they cannot so bagashi. No. Am I talking here? Okay. Because okay, it's going to get hot. I hope most of you are above 18. Hallelujah. If changes do not take place within the marriage to care for the need, the individual will face a powerful temptation to fulfill it outside of marriage. All right. That's where we begin to mention the word affair. I'm going to define affair for you. The reason why my definition will be because, there are some involvement that you can move. You can easily move. There are some involvement that once you hit a particular level and in which my definition of affair comes in, going away becomes difficult. All right, okay. I gave you a definition. This is my definition of an affair. Give me the definition of an affair. An affair consists of two or more persons becoming involved in an extramarital relationship, but watch, that combines sexual love making with feelings of deep love. So it's not just sex. That's why a man can sleep with a harlot and never remembers her. You see, a man can sleep with you and his heart doesn't go to you. You can have his body and never have his heart. When his heart goes, all right, then that's where a problem begins to happen. All right, now when you look at this definition, it excludes the non-sexual affection. Because whether you are married, that doesn't exclude that you are not going to admire any other person. And I'm not saying that you should be involved. All right, but by definition, okay, exclude the non-sexual affair that may exist outside of marriage and sexual liaison that lacks feelings of love. There are some certain sex that can take place without the feelings of love. That's why in a marital relationship, there's also a sex that doesn't have the feelings of love. That doesn't satisfy a need. It's like you're thirsty and you're given warm water instead of cold water. I don't know whether you understand what I'm talking about. Yeah. And if the man goes and then finds cold water, something begins to, move. Now, you might be thinking it's the devil, but no, it's ignorance. Relationship that combines sex and real love threatens any marriage. And that's why sometimes you could see the man now, you're confused. Leave and he can't. Why? Something has happened. There is a need that he finds out that he gets there. His heart has already moved. Because the lovers experience real intimacy. You can have sex and don't have intimacy. Yet you can have sex and have intimacy. So when that begins to happen and intimacy comes in and it meets at least one of the needs of the spouse outside the exclusive marital relations, then he hooks up. Once discovered, marriage is destroyed. Because the highest level of betrayal is that. How can you do that? And I'm going to help you. Because very often, friendship that grows into an affair, listen to me, it's not necessarily based on physical attraction. Somebody didn't hear what I said. Saying some deep stuff here. Very often. That's why the woman will now, that's Zona, and begin to look at her husband's lover and exclaim, how in the world could he be interested in her? Because when you look at her, she's she doesn't even, she's not tight the way you are tight. The answer is very simple, because the attraction is emotional, not physical. It goes beyond. It doesn't necessarily matter if the woman is overweight, if she is plain or she's ugly. What matters is that she has been able to meet an unfulfilled need. So you see, a big bank CEO. One time when he bank guy, his family are somewhere. He was mobbed. Why? Because there's, because when he is thirsty, whether the man, he goes, he wants it. He wants it quenched. What matters? So your need are important. Now, I'm going to help you with some certain things. Listen to me. The needs of a man, your need keeps scores. It keeps scores in what we call the love bank. It is basically based on those needs. Though before marriage, you don't move into the sex stuff. But scores are being kept. And it is based on the accumulation of units in that. Okay, so there's a concept called the love bank. And in the love bank, it's not that you are consciously depositing. No. As you interact, it begins to happen. And it is an inner scoring device that you probably don't even realize, but it's working. Listen to me. Anybody you meet, it works. How you interact with people, it begins to work. Okay. Marriage is so complex, the most complex of them all. Unfortunately, most of us don't realize that what we are getting into when we say we do. We think the dynamics of a good marriage depend on some mysterious blend of the right people. So a pastor will tell you, bring his picture. You think it's mysterious. Bring her handkerchief. I want to pray. I want to get the right person. No, it's not. Some people think that the dynamics, or they think that marriage, if it turns out badly, then they begin to call the two people wrong for each other. Sometimes it's not even true. Because people that are right for each other, once they are ignorant of the needs, they can throw away the marriage. They can destroy it. Come on, put your hands together if you understand. They can destroy it. While I agree that sometimes two inherently incompatible people might marry, it's unusual. Because you cannot, before you come here, though I know akwai auren dole, akwai auren matsi, akwai, and things like that, but it seldom happens. There are some things that made you get there. Most often than not, being right or wrong for someone depends not on some mysterious quotient, but on how you are willing and able, or to meet someone's need. And what I want to do is to help you understand how needs become so powerful and so all-consuming. Listen to me. Needs keep score with relentless precision. In fact, the score that needs keep, that your heart keeps, it cannot be missed. It cannot be missed. Sometimes it cannot even be forgotten. Everyone that you are looking at me has what we call a love bank. It's the accumulation of the units in the love bank that makes you make up your mind that you're going to marry that person. Right now, some of you, you're trying, you're getting drawn to somebody. It's basically based on what I'm going to tell you that is happening. Everyone. It contains different accounts. One for each person that we know. Almost everybody that comes into your life has an account within you. Some, the account can be dormant. Some, it can keep growing. Some might not necessarily grow because there's not much interaction. Some, you repel them based on the withdrawal they do consistently in your life, based on how they make you feel. There are some people you interact with them and you never want to interact with them again. Yeah. Yesterday, someone called me. We left school, 88, high school. And he called me. I've never met him. We've never spoken. The first thing he called me, he said, "Can I movie?" He said, and then he's asking me to give him money. After 30-something years. Unfortunately for him, Nagamba phone in Akoya Fara ze mutu because Bauta. Since your phone na ze mutu yanzun Anka Utana charging, I didn't call him. Why? Because when the first time I met with him, what he left me with was a bad taste. Are you hearing what I'm talking about? And I'm not excited to call him. Meanwhile, the last time I saw him was 88. I should have been said, okay, but the interaction, how he left me. Am I talking house of refuge? Are you hearing what I'm talking about? So everyone has a love bank. It contains different accounts. Each person either deposit or withdraws whenever you interact with him or her. If you have pleasurable interaction, it costs a deposit. If you have a painful interaction, it costs a withdrawal. Every deposit or withdrawal is worth a certain unit. And it is not something that you do intentionally. Okay, then, no. It happens. It happens spontaneously, automatically. So if I meet a friend and the encounter leaves me feeling comfortable, because you can meet somebody and then, man, you just enjoy this interaction. Something is dropped. All right. So when you meet someone and then the interaction is comfortable, let's assume a unit is dropped in his, because once you meet, an account on him in you is open. An account of you in him is open. And so a unit is dropped. Now, if I meet a friend and the interchange makes me feel good, then let's assume I can drop 2 units. However, when I meet in the first, hey, how are you? And you know, nice. This person is approachable, comfortable. I'm comfortable. I drop a unit. If at the end of 1 hour I feel good, I can drop 2 units. If the interchange makes me feel very good, I can drop 3 units. However, if the interchange, my interaction makes me feel exceptionally good, I can drop up to 4 units in my love bank account for him. When I feel exceptionally good and and I drop that kind of unit, I'm looking forward to meeting that person again. Okay, now this is what actually happened. But however, when you meet somebody and the first meeting you feel uncomfortable, there's a withdrawal. Let's assume a unit. If she makes me feel bad, because you can meet somebody and she's just lousy. Hey, just terrible. 2 units is withdrawn. If she makes me feel very bad, 3 units is withdrawn. If the experience is worse, that is when I start passing my corner. Maybe transfer the water book yet, and so ana so ahadaku. Come tabi time makabana exceptionally bad. You say, "Dalla kada kukawata dara agidara kuma." How many of you understand? Yeah. I'm going to help you. So as life begins to go on, accounts begins to fluctuate. Same thing when you get married. For a husband and a wife, there are accounts. For friends, some friends build sizable deposit. Some others, it remains in black. Why? No much interaction. But Nkung Hadu, at least, since there's no withdrawal, However, others go into red. Because when you meet them, you're not feeling okay. You don't feel good. When you think about them, you don't want to see them. In fact, what actually happened is that the account in your love bank is overdrawn. Why will you be telling somebody that is trying to come and see you? It's because there's an experience that makes you not feel okay and you don't actually, okay. So we affect each other emotionally with almost every encounter. Now, the accumulation of positive and negative experience determines our emotional reaction to those that we know. When these things are happening, you're not actually or actively aware of it. It's just happening. All of a sudden, you just wake up. All right. What actually happened is that in marriage, two bank accounts constantly operate. The one, there is his, and then there is hers. And so when a wife's account in her husband's love bank takes a huge dip, and there is an understanding woman in his office, same thing with her. So how do you come to the place where you want to get married? It's just accumulation of in your bank account. For example, when a man meets a woman, men are sapios. All right, you know. But generally, there's no man that exists on earth that the first time he sees a woman, he doesn't feel it. Because we are visual, generally. So when a man sees or meets a woman, he immediately feels something special. What will change is based on the interaction. All right. Chairman was telling us how he met his wife late. They were up on the library. He saw Naomi passing. He was up. He saw her. Boom. You know, because generally, okay, whether he's going to marry her will actually be determined with when he now interacts with her. Are you hearing what I'm talking about? Yes. But that's the first, all right. So generally, the first interaction, the first seeing deposits a love unit in the bank account. Worse is that if she's beautiful, if she's charming, she's intelligent and full of life, his love bank account instantly credits her with, in fact, high score, maybe 3 units. Boom. Men can't take one. Everything is eat. Somebody say eat. Purchase eat. And had the come together, colors tare, bagash yena father the and come eat. And then charming. Worse, intelligent. Men are sapios. I said it, sapiosexual means that a person is sexually attracted to a highly intelligent, so much so that they consider it to be most important trait in a partner. All right. So one of the first things that he wants is that he wants to spend time with her. So if the first time he asks her out, or he said, I want to come see you, if she says yes, in fact, her saying yes drops more unit. Whoa! Why are my men in this place? Come on, put your hands together. Just accepting that she's going to go out, 2 more you love units is deposited. Pow. Man, tired devil. If on his first date they had a fabulous time and he rates it as his best experience of his life, bam, 4 more units will be dropped. So are we not accumulating back? Now watch. Needs keeps scores. And I'm not saying sex because when you're dating, you're not supposed to have sex. But just the interaction drops unit. If he asks to meet her again, and the second date, and she said yes, and when he comes, he feels the same. Fabulous. Man, more units is dropped. 3 more. Bam. This time around, of course, there was a girl that he used to have, and then if the score is exceeding the water chunk, now he begins to feel more than he used to feel for that. What? Do you understand what I'm talking about? Come on, put your hands together. I said, come on, put your hands together. Then he now said, I want to meet her. However, if for the 3rd time he wants to meet her again, she said, Babu, not today. But we can go out tomorrow. Her just saying no will shake something in him. Then he begins to rationalize. But you see, this girl, she's considerate. At least Abani open that the next day we can go out. Then he begins to, no man, she's a nice girl. However, the no for the first time before giving the excuse shakes him. Then it's a withdrawal of 1 unit. The reason, am I talking here? Because you see, any feeling am I talking house of refuge? You see, while I was, come on, put your hands together if you understand what I'm talking about. I said, come on, put your hands together if you understand what I'm talking about. He begins to, I'm sure she likes me. She's sorry for. Meanwhile, so he rationalized, but the first no. You see, I had a babe while I was in school, in university. University, and I was with this girl. We are men. And so this particular night, she left me and then went back to her room, and I needed to see her. So I ran to meet her. So I went and knocked, and I battered Ike. Now I do say, now that will be window. Men can be funny. Then I saw Kayan. Can I zone a Colbert for how long? Come on to the Jesus, can I buy the canker cousin and the machine, the Luya. See now how people, men can be crazy when units are being dropped and then things are shaking. Then I later said, she was wearing a kangado, and so mine because you see, you're dropping and withdrawing, not that kind of back a man kind of GT bank. No, it's psychological. Pop, you're not moving kawai. I just said that Kai one nang fit and I'm fit and the woody. Because in Kaya numbers out to but I can't go to bar. In that change in that net, then something must be wrong. After 1 hour, Harry was about there. So I became frustrated. Say na joke in one ita che bayang girls hostel. Akoi motor se koi naga uta motor. Se motor koi vo. The motor na when I parking koi say nagang be in tafi to a motor money. Instantly, in fact, I withdraw almost every unit. But mujhe zero, but mujhe red. Come on, put your hands together. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Because you see how you make me feel. I'm not talking here, and that was all. Later, she was trying to explain, cried, and now all. That was all. She said, Anna, but she doesn't know. The 1 hour frustration, only for you to be coming from the town. Inside, am I talking here? And they immediately tap Bude. That's a stepping out. Say that gani, womb takoma chiki da gudu. That's a suja. So for a man, and some of you understand what I'm talking about. Some of you just went, a unit is accumulating, you went and then you saw a car, you saw someone, man. I'm not talking here. However, no matter how, am I talking here? So when she said no in the first time, no matter how he tried to convince himself, the experience still leaves him feeling slightly uncomfortable. So her account is withdrawn, 1 unit debited. So, but over the next few months, they begin to date frequently, and good and fabulous experiences exceeds some of the bad, and then accumulation of love units in his account, Nata, becomes, eclipsing almost every other woman that he has ever met. And now he begins, man, this woman makes me happy. And I don't think that I can be happy without her in life. Then he starts thinking marriage. It is how comfortable you make me feel, how happy when I interact with you. The man starts believing he's in love with her. If her balance grows to an all-time high for any woman in his life, he will begin to feel he has never loved anyone as much as he loves her. Her appeal to him is because her balance in his love account is high. So he begins to associate her with many positive, fabulous, exceptional experiences with only few negatives. At this point, he begins to wonder what he will do if this woman is not in his life. He can imagine going through life for the rest of his life without her. With her by his side, he feels that he needs no other person else but her. He will be happy. So he tells himself, and vivid thoughts of marriage begins to come in his mind. However, he doesn't know that there's a rude awakening that is going to come in marriage. Same thing when that is happening. How many of you are happy you're in church? How am I tell you? Okay. When that is happening in him, it's also happening in her. Meanwhile, his account in her love bank grows steadily too. He's affectionate. He's considerate. And at that point, maybe hers in him is about 1,000. Now she in her is about 950. And then she begins to feel, man, the last guy, the experience I felt so bad. But this guy, the experience far exceeds that guy. This is the right guy for me. And she begins to think wedding bells. So when he begins to say, can we? And then boom. Now, then when they come in marriage, the account is still there. But marriage brings in changes. It brings demand and brings in little vicissitudes, changes in life. And that begins to affect the account. Okay, for example, I have a lot of things to say, but, for example, so they got married, and maybe the first 2 years, the account is still high. They're all excited about each other. And then they decide to give birth. After giving to, she said, "That will come makaranta." Like call makaranta, said no problem. Okay, so raising the children, we have to be together because now, remember my babe, my girl Paula, I had to take her, bring her. My daughter is just the best that happened to me. You're just bonded, and things like that. So she goes back to school. But however, things begin to happen. Exams, and then there's a need. But she's reading. But her, she's not noticing anything because he's fulfilling some certain needs. Yana dubayara, yana biyan school fees, yana abuna. He's fulfilling some certain, so she's consistently, however, his needs are not met. Because if he wants the sex, they say, then begins, are you not considering the exams? The exam in Nankai, and baby, and needs, if they are not met, is a problem. So 4 years, Tagama. So yeah, but he masters 2 years, man, just 2 years. So the accounts begin to be eroded. Because as he's holding, unconsciously thinks, okay, so, and even if she's going to give him sex, it's a quick one. And for a man, sex is not sex. And a lot of things begin to happen. For her again, for the woman, sometimes some of the changes, because of giving birth, body change. So insecurity comes. So she needs you to keep telling her that she's still beautiful. Because it's a desire and a need. She's struggling to shed the weight. And, just crazy now. But because of lack of understanding, listen to me, couples unknowingly work at cross purposes, each trying to fulfill the needs he or she feels. So wives often easily shower the husband with affection. It's not affection that a man needs. It's not that he doesn't want it, but that's not his need. However, for the woman, it's affection. All right, so when he comes, he wants sex. For her, it's not sex. So when she showers him with affection because they appreciate it and want it so much themselves. Conversely, the husband, when he begins to smother his wives with sexual advances, because sex is one of the most pressing needs for him. She's getting angry because she's not getting affection. He's only looking for the sex. He's not, you see, for a man, can I miss you understand what I'm talking about? Yeah. And now, the two parties begins to become confused. At best, the mate respond with mild pleasure. At worst, sometimes they become irritated, annoyed. Because the woman is saying, is it just sex that you want? Because now he's not giving the affection, because for him, immediately you hold him, you're trying to give him what you are feeling, he's aroused. Now, this is where I want to measure in today. For the woman, the first thing, I'm going to deal with the need for the woman first. On Sunday, I will deal with the man. The first thing that she needs, and she can't do without, is affection. How many of you are happy you're in church today? Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. If you're getting ready to get married, listen. If you're married, listen. Whenever a woman is starved for affection, she can literally be hugged into an affair. The reason is because you have to understand what affection symbolizes to a woman. For a woman, affection symbolizes about four things. Number one, security. Number two, protection. Number three, comfort. Number four, approval. One of the things that, because insecurity is strong in women. More so when their body is changing. They need you to keep telling them they are, maybe they get back there, okay. So affection tells them that they are secured. It gives them protection. It gives them comfort. It approves them. It's actually a vital commodity in their eyes. So when a woman shows his wife affection, these are the messages that he's sending to her. Number one, I will take care of you and protect you. That's what she receives. What she receives, that you are important to me and I don't want anything to happen to you. That's what she receives. That's why it's a need for her. So if affection is not given to her, she sees herself as an object. Is it my body? No, but when you give it, you're telling her, I will take care of you and protect you. Number two, you begin to tell her, I'm concerned about your problem, the problems that you face, and I'm with you. Another thing that it tells her is that I think you have done a good job, and I'm so proud of you, because later you find out that affection can even be in rubbing back. I'm proud of what you're doing. Now, these four things that I mentioned, one thing can answer all of this: a hug. A hug can say all of the things that I said. There's a hug, there's a hug. Uh-huh. Come on, put your hands together. And that's why some men, you need to be trained how to hug. You don't hug with your hand, you hug with your heart. Come on, put your hands together. If you understand what I'm talking about, come on, put your hands together. Men need to understand how strongly women need affirmation. They need to, come on, not take care. No, Babu, kina nan together. Men na fito na Babu, komi day. You need to talk to her. They need it. Because you see, when they give birth, there is a certain weight that comes with it. Men need to understand hugging is a skill that most men need to develop so that they can show it to their wives. In that is affection. Women love to hug and be hugged. That's why when you see a woman anywhere, she it is so simple but extremely effective way, that accounts in a wife's love bank grows. Most women love to hug. They hug each other. They hug. That's what's not the. Can she get like in Matenda but that the captain and pillow the su Jackie no foam monkey, they hug. They hug children. They hug animals. They hug stuffed things. Come on, baby, baby robber. You know, they hug. It tells them a lot of things. I'm not talking about teddy bears. I'm not talking here. No, okay, now note something. I'm not saying that they will throw themselves into the arms of just everyone. No, that's not them. They can get quite inhibited about hugging if they think that it's causing misinterpretation into a sexual need. They can put themselves. Come on, put your hands together if you understand what I'm talking about. But generally, women hug and love to be hugged. So a man can display affection in other ways, you know, also to a woman. You know, you see, in Canada, after the gripata, but you hug him, but go and learn. How do you show affection? You can send a note expressing love and care. A card. It used to be in those days, you send a card. Another way, you can take a walk. Back rub. You don't have to say anything. Just, that's all. You see, for her, it's telling her something. Ni doesn't do me anything. No, it doesn't do me anything. A man comes out from Tabo, you know, but they came out, they are malakos, they are soft. A back rub, a walk. A woman who loves to walk with you, just walking. Maybe you hold hands, just walk, it tells her something. A walk, you know, a conversation with thoughtful and loving expression. That's why every woman will want to look at your eyes. You see, when a woman looks at your eyes, there are some things that she deduces out of your eyes. Am I talking here? Conversation. Now, kissing is very important to most women. And it expresses your emotional attachment and commitment. I'm going to explain to you. Some of you from a village, you don't even know how to kiss. Babu, you need to... From a woman's point of view, affection is the essential cement of her relationship with a man. If the affection is not there, she's not comfortable. She's not it. Affection is the cement. Without it, a woman probably feels alienated from her man. Now, when I said united or unity, for the man, he can be one in sex. For the woman, affections, that's how she becomes one with you. If affection is not there, she can feel alienated, withdrawn. Without it, with it, she becomes tightly bonded to him while he adds unit into her love bank account. If affection is not there, she can feel estranged, pulled away. Something to note. Women find affection important in its own right. Wow, my time is on. They love the feeling that accompanies both the bestowal of affection and the reception of affection. But listen to me, it has nothing to do with sex. When they are taking affection, though they're giving it, it's not sex that they are looking for. It's security. It's are they what you're thinking? It's the cementing. It's the bonding. That's why when she gets it somewhere, she hooks up. Affection bonds a woman. It's not sex. How do I know it's not sex? Look at what she does with her children. Is this sex? No, it's the same thing. Come on, put your hands together if you understand what I'm talking about. So the problem for the man is that he becomes confused because he sees showing affection as part of sexual foreplay. But for her, okay, so she becomes angry. Once you attach affection with sex, she becomes angry because now she thinks that the only time you're affectionate is because you want sex. And be careful, when she attaches it to it, there's going to be a problem. That's why if you're married here, can you take, let's say, 3 or 1 month and do non-sexual affection? Just hug, kiss, no sex. To me, then the one that come on, put your hands together if you want to. Because you need to grow. How much okay? When men meet, they want to skip the affection business. Why? Because once a man goes into affection, he becomes aroused. So he is thinking is the main event. No, That's not the main event. Sex for you is the main event. Affection for them is the main event. Come on, put your hands together if you understand what I'm talking about. I said, come on, put your hands together if you understand what I'm talking about. It's one of the most stupid things that you hear men say, and nonsensical statements, that I'm not the affectionate type. Your house will come down. First law of marriage. My time is gone. Write it. First law of marriage. When it comes to sex and affection, you can't have one without the other. I'm dealing with affection now, right? My time is up. You have to note something. If you're a man, for a woman, affections comes naturally for her that it does for you. So if you're a man here, you must learn. You must learn it. If not, you can't, okay, it has to go together, So one of the things I would suggest is that you make a list of some of the signs. In fact, if you're married, help your man. But there are habits or affection inventory that will help you. All right. Number one, hug and kiss your wife every day. Number two, tell her that you love her every day while you're together. Number three, kiss her before you leave for work. That's affection inventory. Number four, call her during the day to see how she's doing. Surprise her with gifts. All right. You see, affection sets environment for the main event, for the game. For example, you're going to play football. You can't play football at Iska. There has to be an environment, right? Where you play the football, right? Yes. Affection is the environment. Listen to me. Sex begins with affection. And that's why when you're dealing with affairs, most affairs start because of a lack of affection for the wife and lack of sex for the husband. My time is up. And it becomes a vicious cycle. When I say vicious cycle, this is what actually happened. She doesn't get enough affection, so she shuts him off sexually. He doesn't get enough sex, so the last thing in his mind is affection. The house is going down. And then it becomes a cycle. However, affection is the environment of marriage, while sex is the event. So you can't play the ball without having the place where you're going to play the ball. The place where you're going to play the ball is the environment. It's affection. So you can't come and play the ball Bible environment. So when the environment is not there, problem begins to happen. And if there is one young man, so affection is a way of life. It's a canopy that covers and protects marriage. It's a direct and convincing expression of love that gives the event of sex a more appropriate context. Most women need of affection before sex means much to them. The reason this is true is because men tend to translate affection into sex and suggest, and once you begin to translate affection into sex, sometimes it brings frustration in the marriage. Because when she begins to feel that it's her body that you want, then there's going to be serious problem. However, remember the law. Hallelujah. I say hallelujah. I say hallelujah. So one of the things that I would suggest, if you're married or even, don't turn it on. Turn it off. Do what I call sexless affection. Can you hold her, kiss her, lie with her, wake up the next day? No sex. Do that for 1 month. Come on, put your hands together if you understand what I'm talking about. I said, come on, put your hands together if you understand what I'm talking about. But that's a big problem. The reason why you are trying to do that is because, you see, all your life you have never released affection. So, but you need to bring it, look at a neighbor, say, neighbor, you need to create the environment. Okay. And about creating stadium in one day, All right, so create the stadium. I say create the stadium. Most of the guys here are not married. All right. Now, the problem with me, my time is up. You see, you are thinking that affection is preliminary. But let me tell you something. The preliminaries are not only required for a fulfilling sexual relationship. For the woman, preliminaries are the main event. So, if the man you're thinking is, no, let's get done with this. No, that's her main event. That's her main event. Call her. And then don't use voice in Peter Obi. No, call her. Hey, baby, how are you? No, there's something about voice that. No, don't use voice and then remove your village dialect. No, I mean, go and learn how to talk. Learn. Bring something, let it come from here. Now, come on, put your hands together. My time is up. I'm trying to help you. Come on, put those hands together. If you have voice, Peter or B, go and start training. Get a good voice. Call her. Hey, girl, how are you? Hey, you said? Barry White.
Barry White.
There's something about your voice that unlocks things. You don't build stadium overnight. Create the environment. Am I talking house of refuge? Am I talking house of refuge? Am I talking my time? Then we communion. How we need to bring sizzle in the marriage. How many of you are blessed today? Come on, put your hands together. The one thing that the woman cannot do without is affection. For the woman, affection is not sex. It's not what you're thinking. The woman, affection is main event. The preliminaries is main event. All right. So if you're here, you're not married. In fact, one of the things that shocks people is that because you're not married, you're showing affection during the courtship, no sex. So how are you able to handle it? Continue with it. Even after you get married. So why will you just get married and now, no. Hallelujah. I say hallelujah. Women need to constantly be reminded that they are secured. Because by the time their body begins to lose, they need to be constantly know that they are protected. They need to constantly know that they are cared for. And they need to, hallelujah. I say hallelujah. I say